keep remembering Shannon.
Until I looked at myself in the mirror one day and I was disgusted with what I saw. So I said, you gotta make a change, man.
It's all about fun, laugh, and getting through life. That's what it is.
I find you have everything to gain with Frank, and without him, everything to lose.
Said I'm gonna lay you down, just like the bridge over troubled water. Hello, and welcome to the show. Our guest, Miss Caulette Briggs, CEO of Tribute Reflections, Inc., is going to tell us why we should pre-plan our funeral. But before we talk about that, are you ready for some hot topics?
I am indeed.
Well, first, before we get too deep in it, I do want to say Kobe, my son, just like my son, so we want to, pay tribute to his wife and the children, because that was just such a shock. I tell you, when Tiffany told me, I stood there crying like I don't know what. So Tiffany looked at me like, "What are you crying? That is not your fault." But you know how, like, you see somebody all the time. Like, I see him playing the game all the time. Him and Kevin Durant, those are my two sons.
Yes,
you know, and it's just like, oh my God, I couldn't stop crying. I said, I can't believe this. How could, because I know we all have to die. Now, I know that.
Happens,
but it's just,
It's sudden.
Exactly. You wasn't even expecting it.
And they just had a baby. They had a baby in June or July.
Exactly.
So
and the daughter. See, at first when I heard it, I didn't hear anything about the daughter.
Right.
It was later when they said about the daughter, and oh my God, I couldn't even imagine. All I could do is just start praying for her. Start praying for her, because
I think everyone who is a mother just immediately thought of Vanessa in their head. Just immediately. To lose your husband, your best friend, and your daughter all at the same time.
Because they always said that to lose the child is the worst one that you could lose.
Absolutely.
You grieve over your husband, is true, but but that, oh my God.
Because it's against nature. You're not supposed to bury your children.
But I thought about it. I also thought about it. I said, you see how God works, because she was very close to him, and that was like daddy's little girl.
Yes.
He was with her team and all like that.
Yes.
And I said, you see how God took them together?
Mm-hmm.
Because who knows, she might not even been able to deal with losing her father like that, because they were so close with each other. Because sometimes when you're so close to that individual, it's like,
it's hard to shake.
It is. You just don't shake it. I thought when I lost my mother. Mm-hmm. No, the first person that died that was close to me was my fiance. He drowned. I watched him drown, right? Okay. So it took me forever to get over that. And I never really did ever get over it, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But you move on. Move on, right? And then when my mother passed, I was like,
this is it. Take it now.
You know what I'm saying? And then I kept thinking, I said, oh my God, what would I do if I lose my daughter or my granddaughter? I guess I would go crazy if something like that happened, because like my mother, I don't have a sister, so my mother was like my sister.
Gotcha.
And so we used to talk all the time. We was like, not friends, because Southerners, you ain't they friend. We don't cross the line of what the road is.
You said, what you said?
But exactly, like, why do you want to know that? Because when you ask them things, and they'll be like, well, why you want to know that?
Right.
But,
at least they say that. My mother would be like, mind you, your business.
Exactly. But the thing about it was, it's like when I lost her, I lost my best friend, and I still haven't shaked it, but I can talk about it and I can move on, because that's what we do. And then when I was thinking about her, I'm saying, how can she move on? How can she move on losing two people like that back to back? I mean, I've known other people that lose people, because my girlfriend, her mother died that Friday, and her brother died that Saturday morning. Oh, wow. Unexpected. It just came out of nowhere. He got sick and went to the hospital and died. Wow. So that was like a
that's a back-to-back loss.
A double whammy. Yeah. So I mean, I have seen this before, but it just you can't even describe it.
No, I think with adults, I think it's like just a natural part of life. We know we'll lose, either our husbands, either they'll go before us or we'll go before them. But when it comes to our children, you never picture that in your mind, because it's always, you know what, I'm going to go before you.
Exactly.
I remember my mother always saying, I'm not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be here forever.
Yeah.
You know, my job is to make sure that you are able to take care of yourself after I'm gone.
And we used to say that all the time, because I even say that, you know, also. But now, you can't even say that anymore, because the young people, I think, are going faster than the older people are going.
Absolutely.
So it's like when you think about it, you're like, well, what is going on that so many young people are dying? Something is not right here.
The world is different.
Something is not pleasing, you know. I just figure it's not pleasing in God's sight, because, you know, when he ain't satisfied with something, he starts, like, things happening. Like, I tell my friend, like I said, when you hear about all them floods, like in Texas, and all these places when things happen, I said, think about it. Why is it always, when something happens, it's always there? Something is not right. Something is not right. And things are happening now, and now there's so much hatred and so much bitterness, you know, and all of that's coming out now, you know. Well, I won't even say, but we know the leader. But people don't have to go by what the leader says. You're supposed to think as an individual yourself. Right. If you're not a person that's hateful and likes to say hateful things to people, regardless of who's saying that, you wouldn't even say that. You wouldn't say that. Just because if you always talking hatred all the time, why would I be talking that if that's not me?
Right, if that's not me.
I'm not that kind of person or whatever. But, I mean, but I like it when, I hope, you know, let's just continue to pray for her. Pray for her family, you know, and that they can move forward and everything.
And also the other families who passed away.
Oh, yes, the other families too. I don't want to forget about them. It's just that we were so focused on him. But, you know, I prayed for them too, everything. But today, we're going to have Miss Briggs to tell us about planning our funeral, because that's what we should be doing. Did you plan yours already?
Okay, I know in my mind what I want, and I've mentioned it to a few other people. Have I pre-planned? That's enough. I just did what my mama did.
Well, I planned mine already.
And just told me what.
I'm having a funeral. Like, did you ever see that movie, Invitation of Life?
No.
You got to go look it up and get that movie. The lady, she worked for some people as a maid and stuff, but she saved her money all of those years, and when she passed, she had this fantastic funeral with the horses, those Budweiser horses with
the Clydesdales.
Yeah, and the closing cart, what you call it, the cart where you put the body in, not the hearse, the closing where the horses draw, the carriage.
Yes.
It was glass. Oh my God, that funeral was something. I told Tiffany that's the kind of funeral I want.
Listen, no.
I want a funeral like that with all the horses and stuff. Well, look, we got to start planning something, because we know we're going. Right. But I can't wait to talk to Miss Briggs about it. So she's going to tell us how to do that, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Is preparing ourselves to go to take the weight off of our family. So when we come back, we're going to come back with Miss Briggs. We'll be right back.
It's Shannon.
This is Lenny Green from The Quiet Storm. Keeping it real with Shannon. It's a hot show. Don't miss it.
At the time I had written this play, I was going through some emotional stuff, and I knew I needed something to do differently with my life. I sat in a corner of my bedroom and just started writing out the words. It comes alive while I'm writing it, when the characters are alive in my head, and it's a fantastic feeling when I see the characters alive on stage.
My name is Tiffany, and you're watching Keeping It Real with Shannon. Shannon can be seen every Saturday at 5:30 p.m. on Brooklyn Public Network and Manhattan Neighborhood Network at 2:30 p.m. You can check your local listings for the channels. Let's keep it real and watch the show.
Hi, Hi, and welcome back. If you're just joining us, today we're going to be talking about why we should pre-plan our funeral. And joining us today is Miss Caulette Briggs. Welcome to the show, Miss Briggs.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're here to talk about, how we should prepare ourselves and why is it important that we should prepare for our funeral. Because we know we go in, it's just a matter of when. Absolutely. But a lot of times people don't want to talk about it.
Yes.
You know, they just feel they'll leave it for the family. And then when something happens, the family is going crazy.
Yes.
So why would you say it's important that we pre-plan?
Well, first I want to thank you so very much for having me as your guest today, and for this platform to reach out to our community to share with them the importance of pre-planning for one's funeral. Also, the Costa Hetley from Harmony Funeral Home regretfully is not able to join us on this show today. But he wanted to thank you so very much as well for this platform.
You're welcome.
So one of the importance of pre-planning one's own funeral is that part of the pre-planning process, it shows your family just how responsible you are as an individual. And it also expresses the heartfelt love that you have for your family to put your final affairs in order. Because we all know the life cycle. It's birth and it's death.
Right.
And we often do not prepare for our death. And it's not an easy conversation that one can have, but it is certainly a crucial conversation.
Yes,
Absolutely.
definitely.
And, you know, working with DaCosta, who is a community leader, community organizer, he is the director of community affairs and outreach at Harmony Funeral Home, which is located at 2200 Clarendon Road in Brooklyn, New York. And we have identified that when families come into the funeral home, in a lot of cases, they are not prepared. And they may not be prepared because of the deceased who did not prepare in advance. So to your point, it's then left on to the loved ones who's taking care of the final arrangements to put things in order. So you're emotionally stressed, and oftentimes when you're making the arrangements, you find that you become financially stressed as well.
Exactly. So when someone comes to the funeral home, right, to plan for the funeral, say if that person had already pre-planned everything, so they have most likely have already come to the funeral home and made the arrangements with the funeral home people of what they want, you know, what casket they want, all of this, you know, things that go with it.
That is part of the pre-planning process, right? Putting your arrangements in order, you know, picking out your merchandise, your casket, your flowers, and etc. And it's something that, again, it's difficult to talk about, but it is, again, a crucial conversation to have. So yes, that's one aspect of putting in place your end-of-life business affairs. There's other components to your end-of-life business affairs. Outside of the funeral arrangements, right, you have your other business affairs, such as making sure that you have a will, right, or you have updated your will, that you have selected who you desire to be the executor of your estate, right? And then there's another component to the end-of-life final business affairs, and that is the financial aspect of it. You know, you have your savings account, your checking account, you have your credit unions. Do you have a life insurance policy? You know, have you spoken to your financial advisor? You know, have you put those things in place? Because in our community, what we also are identifying is that a lot of us may say, well, I'm worth more dead than I am alive. Mm-hmm. And why do they say that? Because they have taken some type of action to create some type of generational wealth plan for their family, for their loved ones at their time of demise. But we are also finding that if you're not financially prepared, you will not be able to build that generational wealth plan for your loved ones.
Okay, now let's just get to the nitty gritty. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to know. Mm-hmm. What about when people do not have insurance, do not have a savings account, mm-hmm. do not have things to bury themselves with? So now here you come to the funeral home, mm-hmm. and so you don't have all of that money to bury the people. I mean, like some people, like even some of my relatives have said, mm-hmm. okay, well just put me in a box. You know what I'm saying? Put mm-hmm. me in a box. I don't care. I'm not here, whatever. But when you come to the funeral home like that to make that arrangement, and the family does not have the enough money mm-hmm. to pay for the funeral, how does the funeral home work with the individual of that family to bury them, the people? Or if they can't come up with the money, do you just leave the body at the morgue?
What options would they have?
Well, that is a very sensitive situation. So when you find that families come and they realize that they are not financially prepared, right, there are options. Okay. And what we are seeing today is the alternative to having one's disposition, their final disposition, whether they want to have a burial or cremation. We are seeing that as a result of not being financially prepared, according to the Cremation Association of North America, known as CANA, in 2018, cremation rate was at 53.1%. They are projecting by 2023, just in a few more years, 3 more years, right? Cremation is going to rise to 59.4%. Now, that could be contributed to one's desire, mm-hmm. or because the financial pre-planning has not been in place. Okay. So when we see that families do not have, the financial resources, cremation is a more economical way for someone to also have a very meaningful and respectful homegoing memorial service.
So how much would a cremation be?
Well, cremations can start from as low as $1,000, depending on the type of cremation.
When you say type, there's different types?
Well, yeah, because you can have your loved one have a immediate cremation, right, where there's no coming to the funeral home at all. Okay. You can also have a viewing where they come to the funeral home and then a cremation. Okay. So there are options, and believe it or not, if there's absolutely no funding, and you see today that we do have crowdfunding to take care of funeral expenses. Absolutely. Where people are, showing their love for the family and donating money towards the funeral. Mm-hmm. So there are other means to raise funds for a funeral or even a cremation. But what is not readily known to the community is that when there's absolutely no funds available and your loved one wanted to, let's say, donate their eyes, right? Because when you go and you get your driver's license, they actually want to be a donor.
Mm-hmm. Organ
right?
donor, yes.
Correct, an organ donor. You can actually donate your body to science.
Oh, yeah, my girlfriend did that.
Okay. So there are options, but, in identifying this, the Costa and I, we are just so passionate about helping and educating and bringing the awareness to the community about the importance of pre-planning.
Right.
You know, we don't want to see our families, our community coming into the funeral home not prepared. And we don't want the family to ever have to, at the time of need, have to say, well, I wonder if mom took care of business. Or I wonder if dad took care of business.
Right.
This is a crucial aspect of life. It's inevitable.
But in cases like that, when you have children and stuff, like when the kids, if they grown ups, I think they should check to make sure that the parents have an insurance policy, or you take out an insurance policy on them, because sometimes, you know, the older people, they don't look at it the same way that you look at it. They think, well, you know, I don't have to have that. You know what I'm saying? Only the ones who are up on it doing stuff like
Absolutely.
that. You know,
And
so
again,
you should take responsibility and have something.
And I agree. It works on both sides. You know, and as I had stated, it's the most responsible gift of love to your family.
Well, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Okay? We'll be right back.
It's Shannon. Keeping it real.
Things not beneficial to driving well. Spa day with hummus mask. Feeling the burn. Baking delicious cupcakes. Think that's crazy? Well, texting and driving is no different. Now that's safe driving.
Hi, we're back. Before we went to break, we was talking about pre-planning our funeral and what happens if you don't pre-plan.
So I had a question. So I wanted to know, because no one honestly thinks of inflation. So let's say I come in, I pre-plan my entire funeral down to the last red cent, and I die 40 years from then. What happens to the cost? Like, let's say if I covered everything at that point, but then now it's more money than I originally planned out. How do you necessarily help the family facilitate that additional cost?
Okay. So in a lot of cases, when you are meeting with a funeral director and they have provided you with what is called pre-plan insurance, right? And that is through the Funeral Directors Association. It's a fund, okay, where you can advance money into your final arrangements expenses.
Okay.
And that is actually locked in, and we do know inflation will happen. So that is a valid question. And in a case like that, if it does happen, the inflation, it will be some additional expense on the family to bridge that gap, that financial gap. But again, as part of your gift to your family and your pre-planning, you know, life insurance is another alternative to close that gap, that financial gap. Okay, so, you know, there are different options to make sure that one's family is financially prepared and the final expenses. Having the pre-funded, right, funeral plan paid is great. It's great. So it lessens that financial burden.
So you still should do it, even though when that time comes, like you said, you might have to add some
You
more
may
money
have
to
to-
it.
correct.
For at least.
Yes.
You have most of it.
Exactly. The majority of the expenses should be covered. You know, and you know, funeral directors and funeral home owners are humans as well. So they have a heart, and they will work with the family.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah. Just for clarification, you said like you don't usually pick up the body until the funeral arrangements is made. Then you go and get the body.
Correct, because you have to sign authorization releases and all of that. You just can't go to a hospital, a morgue, and say, I want to,
give me Steve.
Okay.
Pick up the remains of such and such person.
Okay.
The family has to authorize you as a funeral home to do that. And that's part of the arrangements that you will entrust that funeral home with your loved one's body, the remains.
So when the family comes down there, right, and say they don't have money or don't have enough money or whatever. So now you haven't picked up the body, so they never comes back with any money because now they can't come up with the money, so then they just leave the body there. So what do they do with the body? Do they bury them in Potter's Field or
In
what?
most cases, yes. If the body is unclaimed, that is unfortunately the result. Unfortunately.
So they bury them in Pottersville and not necessarily cremate?
They could bury them in Pottersville. They could possibly donate the body to science.
Okay.
But who would donate it though if the family don't come back and donate it?
Then it becomes part of the city, right?
Oh,
because it's unclaimed.
Okay, then so the city would make that decision.
The city would have to, determine what the best option would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
if the body is unclaimed.
Okay.
But
But usually, like you said, if they come, at least if they have some money, you could plan something with them. Say if they came and they only had $2,000 or $3,000, there's something that you probably could, work out with them to get it done.
Harmony Funeral Home has been working with the community, with circumstances as such as we're speaking about,
Well, we have to go. We out of time. But I'm just so sick of people always wanting everybody else to take care of their business and stuff for them. Because, see, I tell them right quick, well, you'll be left at the mall because I ain't putting out no money for anything.
Well, we want to thank you so much for this platform, this opportunity, as well as you, Allison. And what we would like to close with is that, please connect with us so that we can help you and guide you and your family through the process of starting the conversation.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Ms. Briggs. And you heard what she said. Pre-plan your funeral. It takes the stress off the family because ain't no sense in us sitting here saying that we're not going. It's just a matter of time when we going. So thank you for watching the show today. And look, if you need to come to Harmony Funeral Home, you can come and they can, sit with you and go over some things with you ahead of time.
Let me give you the phone number.
We'll put it up at the end of the show. So thank you for joining us today. And as always, we'll see you next time.